Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Bonjour, mesdames et messieurs, et bienvenue au 18e Prix de Gaspillage Teddies. Welcome to the 18th annual edition of the Teddy Waste Awards. My name is Aaron Woodrick, and I am the Federal Director of the Canadian Taxpayers Federation. I will be your host for this morning's ceremony, assisted by our friendly mascot, Porky, and our lovely hostess, Amy. Before I begin, for those who may be unaware that the Teddies are not named after a lovable stuffed animal, but rather for a much less loved individual named Ted Wetherill, who is a former chair of the Canada Labour Relations Board, who was dismissed in 1999 after piling up $150,000 in meal expenses. Mr. Wetherill may be long gone, but his legacy lives on in the Teddies, our annual celebration of the most ridiculous and head-shaking examples of waste, profligacy, and shameless disregard for public dollars. This year, we have a total of 14 nominees in our three categories, 4 nominees each for the federal and provincial Teddies, and 5 for the municipal Teddy, as well as our marquee award, the Lifetime Achievement Award. We'll start first with the municipal category. The first nominee is the City of Victoria for spending $10,000 to install sensors in a parking garage stairwell, which when touched, activate a series of LED lights and cause the stairs to play music. The city said it was looking to create a, quote, musical stair climbing experience for parking customers, presumably in response to strong public demand for improved parking garage ambiance. The second nominee is the City of Peterborough for paying 2 of its police chiefs severance payments, even though they didn't lose their jobs. Police Chief Murray Robb and Deputy Chief Tim Farquharson received a combined $458,000 for having their jobs switched over from the old community police force into the newly created Peterborough Police. The city's now suing the police chiefs to recover the money, and ironically, the police chief's lawyer described the lawsuit as, quote, an unfortunate waste of taxpayers' dollars. The third nominee is the City of Calgary, a contender for the second year in a row, this year for spending $246,000 on a public art project at a wastewater lift station. The station, which features decorative lights that change color depending on how much sewage is being processed, sits atop a hill in a residential neighborhood where unhappy neighbors have christened it the, quote, Poop Palace. The fourth nominee is the City of Saskatoon for spending $5.3 million replacing its 2,800 city parking meters with 325 solar-powered pay stations. Unfortunately, and as most Saskatoonians will attest, the city doesn't get a lot of sun in the winter, and snow often accumulates on the solar panels, preventing them from generating any electricity. As a result, the original projections of a boost of more than $1 million in new revenue from the new system have instead turned into a reduction of $1.7 million. And the final nominee is a second nomination to the City of Saskatoon, which in 2007 decided to install decorative LED lights on the city's 100-year-old traffic bridge. Here's what the bridge looked like when the $500,000 lights were on them. Now, unfortunately, the lights had to be repaired on 5 separate occasions the following year, requiring the closure of the bridge. And if we fast forward to today, this is what the bridge now looks like. Yes, earlier this year, the bridge was actually demolished along with the LED lights, which were still attached. And with that, I would like to ask Amy for the municipal envelope. Thank you very much. And the winner is, hold your nose, it's the City of Calgary. The City of Calgary for the Poop Palace. Congratulations. This year's municipal winner. With that, we'll move on to the provincial nominees. The first provincial nominee is the publicly funded 22 staff member Alberta School Boards Association, which in 2014 spent $41,000 on a variety of staff perks, including off-site planning meetings at posh hotels, birthday and Christmas presents, and perhaps most notably, $900 on an adult Easter egg hunt. The second nominee comes to us from Ontario, and it is the organizing committee for the Toronto 2015 Pan Am Games. Despite already being massively over budget, the committee contracted the high-end Alan Parse hair salon at $4,000 a day for 2 months to provide services to Pan Am athletes for free. The salon provided free haircuts and manicures and included nail art of their country's flags. In total, the temporary salon cost taxpayers $140,000. The third nominee is also from Ontario, and it is the Thunder Bay Biomass Plant. In 2013, Ontario's Minister of Energy decided that the Thunder Bay coal plant would be converted to burning wood chips, despite being warned by the Ontario Power Authority that this would not be cost effective. This plant costs $40 million a year to operate and yet only generates the equivalent of 5 full days of electricity each year, all at a cost 25 times higher than the average biomass facility. Why so expensive? Well, in spite of being in a heavily forested region, the plant can't use wood chips from the Thunder Bay area, so they're actually required to import special wood chips all the way from Norway. And our final provincial nominee is the Prince Edward Island Department of Tourism and Culture. The department printed 180,000 copies of their 2015 tourism guide, shown here, the cover of which features a man and a woman relaxing on a sandy PEI beach. Unfortunately, the department failed to notice, and I'm not sure if you can see it very clearly here, but there is in fact a distinct bulge in the man's shorts that appears to suggest he's very, very excited to be in Prince Edward Island. Upon discovering this racy oversight, the department decided to replace the image on the website, but as of today, all of the printed copies remain in circulation. And so with that, I would ask for the provincial envelope. Thank you very much. And the winner is the PEI Department of Tourism for their uplifting tourism guide. There was definitely some stiff competition this year, but I think it's fair to say they rose to the occasion. And now we'll go on to our federal nominees. The first nominee is the Canadian Museum of Human Rights. Located in Winnipeg, this museum, which is almost completely dependent on a $22 million a year annual subsidy from taxpayers, opened in September 2014 and planned to develop private sponsors to offset the costs of its opening weekend celebrations. When they were unable to secure private sponsorships, they did what any responsible money-losing government entity would do. They went ahead and spent the money anyway, spending $2 million on an opening party. Notre deuxième nomination va à la délégation canadienne envoyée au sommet du Paris 2015 sur les changements climatiques. Le nouveau gouvernement Trudeau a grandement étendu l'empreinte carbone du Canada en quadruplant la taille de la délégation canadienne à Paris. The second nomination is the Canadian delegation to the COP Climate Change Conference in Paris. The new Trudeau government greatly expanded Canada's summit attendance carbon footprint by quadrupling the size of the Canadian delegation to Paris to approximately 283 participants, up from just 69 the year before. By comparison, the United States sent only 124 people, and the United Kingdom sent 96. In fact, BC Green Party leader Andrew Weaver, who declined an invitation to attend, said, quote, "It's bitterly ironic to be flying hundreds of people across the Atlantic on 747s, and honestly, how are they all contributing? By enjoying Paris and going to outside events?" The third nominee are the Severance Seven, Liberal MPs Kent Hare, Darshan Kang, Stéphane Lauzon, Jennifer O'Connell, Amarjeet Sohi, Dan Vandal, and Conservative MP Len Weber. These newly elected MPs, who are all former provincial or municipal politicians, have together pocketed more than $780,000 in transition payments from their former jobs, in spite of the fact they are now earning substantially more as federal MPs and the fact they all left their old jobs completely voluntarily. And the final federal nominee is Global Affairs Canada for spending $200,000 on a reopening party for Canada's High Commission in London following extensive renovations. Costs included nearly $10,000 to ship Canadian wine to London by sea. There were also problems with a $16,000 plaque unveiled by the Queen at the event. The bilingual plaque had an error in the French spelling of Premier Ministre and had to be removed and sent back to the British manufacturer, where the letters were ground down and replaced at an additional cost of $4,000. And with that, could I ask, please, for the federal envelope? You. And the winner is Canada's COP Climate Change Delegation. Yes, by soaking taxpayers and also increasing carbon emissions, this one was definitely a worthy winner this year. And now, of course, to our fourth and final award, the Lifetime Achievement Award. This year's nominee is a true Canadian icon. Some have even referred to it as an anchor, if you will. Their innovative products have cost taxpayers not mere thousands or millions, but billions of dollars over the last 50 years. This year's Lifetime Achievement Award, Teddy, goes to Bombardier. Bombardier. Was there ever really any doubt? Was there any doubt? C'est la deuxième fois qu'un récipiendaire majeur des subventions publiques reçoit ce prestigieux prix, après que General Motors, Chrysler et Ford aient été déclarés gagnants conjointement en 2009. Même si Bombardier n'est pas la seule compagnie canadienne à survivre sur les dos des contribuables, il n'existe pas de symbole plus puissant pour incarner l'attribution indue des deniers publics à des entreprises privées échouées pour des fins politiques. Bombardier is the second major corporate welfare recipient to receive the prestigious award after General Motors, Chrysler, and Ford were declared joint winners in 2009. And while they're certainly not the only Canadian company surviving on taxpayer handouts, there is no doubt they are one of the most prominent symbols of the fiscally wasteful, economically distorting, and politically manipulative approach of subsidizing failed private companies with public dollars. Whether it's citing misleading economic spin-off statistics or contradicting itself by claiming it's so successful it absolutely needs yet another taxpayer bailout, Bombardier has never been able to wean itself off the public teat, having managed to squeeze at least $3.8 billion out of the public purse since 1966 on at least 87 separate occasions from various levels of government. They may not be able to sell airplanes for more than they cost to make, but when it comes to being in the subsidy business, there's no denying Bombardier is a world-class global player. And that concludes the 2016 Teddy Awards. Merci à tous pour venir aujourd'hui. Thank you all for coming. I'm, of course, happy to take questions.